She was halfway through my laser tripwire grid, her body slick with olive oil, dragging a yoga mat behind her like a makeshift sled when the prototype's targeting system chirped to life with a soft, ominous beep. I watched, frozen in disbelief, through the internal monitor in my garage as Sandra Brooks, the HOA president on a relentless one-woman crusade of neighborhood oversight, slithered past a crate I'd labeled, "Do not disturb unless you're tired of breathing." The timestamp glowed 2:03 a.m. on the screen. She muttered something incoherent about illegal storage and property violations, her voice a low growl, completely unaware that one more inch forward would trigger a non-lethal suppression net originally designed for cartel raids in dusty border towns now poised to wrap her up like a suburban burrito. That's when the realization slammed into me like a brick. This woman had no idea she'd trespassed into the single most fortified civilian garage in 3 counties, and it was about to introduce itself in a way she'd never forget. I'd moved to Pine Hollow to escape exactly this kind of absurdity. After 2 decades designing tactical systems for special operations gear, so classified the Pentagon still swears its fictional I'd earned my retirement. I picked a quiet cul-de-sac in a sleepy suburb, a place populated by retirees with golf carts, yoga moms with strollers, and weekend grill warriors wielding spatulas like swords. It seemed the perfect spot to fade into obscurity, a modest single-story house with a decent-sized lot where I could tinker with motorcycles, sip coffee on the porch, and maybe take on the occasional contract job in my garage. I'd gone all out to keep it low-key, a 6-foot privacy fence painted in neutral beige, blackout curtains on every window, even a row of unassuming shrubs along the perimeter to soften the edges. My goal was simple: blend in, lay low, enjoy the silence. But here's the kicker. When you try too hard to disappear, you end up shining a spotlight on yourself, especially for someone like Sandra. She'd introduced herself on my first day, before I'd even unpacked the last box from my truck. I was hauling a duffel bag when she materialized, clipboard clutched like a shield, a tight smile stretched across her face, and a tape measure dangling from her belt like a gunslinger's holster. "Just ensuring code compliance," she chirped, her eyes darting to my mailbox, which she proceeded to measure with the precision of a surveyor plotting a battlefield. I tossed out a half-joking line about complying with anything that didn't violate the Constitution. She didn't laugh. Instead, her gaze slid to my garage double-reinforced titanium doors, a biometric scanner glinting faintly in the afternoon. None her smile faltered, replaced by a suspicious squint. "What's in there?" she asked, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. "Tools," I replied, which wasn't a lie, just a carefully curated half-truth. By the end of that first week, she'd filed 3 complaints with the HOA. One for an unusual humming noise emanating from my property that'd be the battery core stabilizer running diagnostics on a new prototype, another for suspiciously armored trash bins, standard steel cans, nothing fancy, and a third for intimidating landscaping, because I'd opted for gravel over mulch. I kept it civil, waved when I saw her, nodded at her morning power walks, figured she'd get bored and move on to harassing someone else's petunias. I underestimated her. Sandra's curiosity wasn't a pastime. It was a vocation, and I'd just been promoted to her pet project. The real trouble brewed when the HOA rolled out a new rule about garage inspections under the guise of community safety. It was a flimsy excuse to snoop for unregistered machinery, but I knew it was personal. Sandra's fingerprints were all over it. At the meeting, held in the community clubhouse with its faded floral wallpaper and stale coffee, I leaned back in a creaky folding chair and tossed out a dry quip. "What are we looking for? Secret robot armies?" A few neighbors chuckled, their faces lighting up with amusement, but Sandra didn't flinch. Her eyes locked onto me like a predator sizing up prey, her lips pursed into a thin line of disapproval. "My garage is a secure lab, city approved. No one enters but me," I said, my voice calm but firm. The board shifted uncomfortably. Tom Harlan, the perpetually half-asleep president, muttered something about reviewing the policy, but Sandra's stare didn't waver. From that moment, she was hooked. I caught her lurking near my driveway bushes, pacing my property line while texting, even tossing a frisbee over my fence once with a saccharine. "Oh, can I just pop in to grab it?" I lobbed it back over with a clipped, "No need to thank me." She didn't. That brings us to that fateful night. I'd been asleep, dreaming of torque wrenches and open roads, when the silent alarm jolted me awaka, a soft vibration from the wristband I kept by my bed, linked to the garage's security grid. The system flagged a breach. East perimeter via an unsealed doggy door I'd left open because, well, I don't have a dog. Rookie mistake. I grabbed my tablet, flipped to the garage feed, and there she was, Sandra, headlamp blazing, elbows deep in Crisco, sliding across the epoxy floor like a low-budget spy flick gone wrong. The yoga mat trailed behind her, snagging on a corner of the workbench as she muttered threats about inspections and codes. The system ran her heat signature, cross-referenced it against my known threats database now hilariously including HOA board members and prepped the net launcher. I had 90 seconds before it turned her into the world's angriest spring roll. Barefoot, I yanked on jeans, bolted to the garage, and punched through the emergency side door. System off, I barked, voice command freezing the net just as she shrieked and scrambled behind a workbench. That's when she saw it. The rack of inert prototypes armor plates, tactical tools stamped with military codes and serial numbers. Her eyes widened, finger jabbing the air. I knew it. Bombs. I stared deadpan. Lady, that's a smart wrench. It tightens bolts with vibration analytics. Calm down. This violates city ordinances. No one needs this unless they're government, she yelled. I blinked. I was government. You just broke into a federally audited lab. She lunged for the exit, slipped on a coolant spill, and toppled a tactical helmet. It lit up, scanning her face with a soft hum. I shut it down before the flash beacon deployed, grabbed her arm, and hauled her up, oil dripping from her tracksuit. 10 seconds to leave, or it's felony trespassing, I said, voice flat. She stumbled out, tangled in a coil of comms wire, snarling about bringing the HOA down on me. I locked up inside. Most folks dread burglars. I had Sandra. The next morning, she stood in my driveway, grease-streaked hoodie clinging to her, arms crossed, glaring like I'd personally rewritten her HOA bylaws to ban glitter. You assaulted me with machines. There are laws, she snapped. I sipped coffee. Morning, Sandra. Want some Crisco with your threats? She huffed off, leaving oil stains on my pavement. I triple-sealed the garage. Biometric logs captured her prints, voice, every twitch. One wrong move, and it'd alert me. By noon, 2 local cops, Officer Carter and Officer Miles, knocked, following up on her disturbance complaint. I brewed coffee, showed the clip, Sandra as a greasy ninja sliding through lasers. Carter snorted so hard he coughed. Miles mouthed, "Oh my God. Tactical systems consultant, government adjacent," I explained. They grinned, filed it as a non-issue, warned her, and asked for the footage for training. She's a character, Carter said, leaving. By dawn, an HOA emergency meeting flyer hit, alleging military installations in my garage. The clubhouse buzzed. Sandra, at a projector, ranted in red Comic Sans. Who is he? Explosions. Secret labs. I let her ramble, then stood. Sandra broke in, tripped a legal deterrent, blames me for her snooping. Walt Thompson, a grizzled retiree, chuckled. She needs a hobby. No civilian needs infrared wires, she barked. Unless keeping out trespassers, I shot back. The board Tom Harlan, Ellen Crane ruled no violation, no entry. Sandra stormed out, muttering FBI. 3 days of peace, then oddities. An ammo case, not mine, in my trash. A fake tactical lube canister in recycling. Sandra's frame job. Ellen and Tom asked about contraband. Footage showed her planting it. Glitter fanny pack at 2:11 a.m., tumbling into her bins. They left, flustered, promising action. I texted Captain Rivera, ex-ops buddy. HOA nut framing me. Favor. He laughed. Name it. Plan. A civilian safety demo at the next HOA meeting. Legal. Flashy. Sandra rattling. City approved it fast. Experimental tech grant. Demo day. Chairs. Hot dogs. HOA grumbling. Rivera's crew. Plain clothes. Unpacked sleek gear vault doors. Drone detectors explaining civilian uses. A ping. Sandra's cheap drone signature. Intercepted last week. Illegal if armed. She paled. Rivera's bot neutralized it. Projected safety 2.0. Gasps. Claps. Sandra's yelp. Rivera certified my garage exemplary. Sandra bolted to the bathroom. That night, she tried the lock. Scanner blared. Go home, Sandra. She fled, oil slicked. Next meeting, she raged, grainy drone pics of my war machines. I countered. Permits, waivers, her crash clip. Rivera entered, ID gleaming. Rex Labs, a model. Caught her illegal surveillance. Sandra sank, outmatched. Court. Her $2,500 distress suit versus my binder clips, docs, drone logs. Judge Laura Hayes. No merit. Lucky he's not suing. Dismissed. Sandra moved, gated condo. Rumor. House sold to Lisa Harper, cookie baker, no clipboards. I aided neighbors' sensors, tips. Garage, a local asset. Peace reigned. Lawn grew serene. Pine Hollow thrived. Sandra, a fading echo.